My name is Michael Gray, CPA, and welcome to Financial Insider Weekly. My guest today is an attorney, John Hopkins, of Hopkins and Carley in San Jose. And John is a good friend of mine. I've known him for many years. And I don't regard John as just an attorney. He is a mentor and a role model in the estate planning community. He's a very highly respected individual. John has been actively promoting community giving as a family value. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I think that John's message is especially appropriate for the holiday season. And this show is scheduled to show on the day before Thanksgiving. But remember that we want to keep the giving spirit all year long. And anyway, so it's the idea, of course, that that we're members of a community, and so we want to be involved in giving that community and supporting that community. So, John, thank you very much for being my guest today, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
It's a real pleasure. So with that, let's get right into this. You've been promoting the idea of thinking of the community or charities as one of your children in making your estate plan. So when I'm making my estate plan, why should I treat the community as one of my children in that process?
Well, it's I'm trying to encourage people to think outside of what we call the default position that I'm going to leave everything to my children, because that's what everybody else does. It doesn't take a lot of thinking about that, and most people don't like to think about what's going to happen when they die.
Right.
So but when they get around to it, my message to them is, think that you've been supporting your community all these years and contributing to schools and to your churches and things like that, and so why would you not include the things that other things you were supporting besides your children when it comes to deciding what kind of a legacy you want to leave?
So what are some reasons that I would want to do something like that?
Well, to begin with, people as they mature and get a little older than you are, but they get to that stage of life where they're thinking about, what was my life about? What did I want to do? What have I done? And psychologists say it comes to the legacy period, the period where you look back and think now not just of your children, but now you're looking over their heads to the next generation. And the same in your community. They're looking much longer parts. Now these thinking or thoughts come spontaneously into people who are over 60. They just are there. And it involves, what is my legacy? What did I leave? What was my life? What did it mean?
What was it all about?
Yes. And so asking them to think about community comes naturally, and they will think about that. That doesn't mean everybody's going to leave something to the community, but it does give them a broader perspective on what's an estate plan is all about.
Okay, good. So are there any other reasons?
Well, hopefully, it seems to me that once we start focusing on community, I ask the people to be, particularly older people, when I say older, they have grandchildren, to start thinking about sending the message to their children, if they haven't already done so, about the importance of giving to the community, supporting community organizations. And some of us come dragging and screaming and rebelling against that, but once we get involved with giving, we begin to realize that there's a payoff. I don't mean a financial payoff. I mean, there is a satisfaction in knowing that you're part of something bigger. You're not just over there trying to hoard your money and hope the stock market doesn't go down. So you become part of the community. And I've also tried to encourage parents to think You know, if the community is not sound and all the relationships and the things in your community isn't sound, all the money in the world is not going to make your children happy. They're going to be afraid for their safety, or their education system, or all the things we have in our community now, which are seeming to be perennial concerns, but they go on, and if you don't participate in your community one way or another, they will get worse.
Yeah. So it's really, we're talking about the environment that we live in.
Yes.
And that our family is going to live in the future. And so how are we going to make a positive impact to make things better even for them in the future, and for everybody in general? Okay. So how can you teach these values to your children during your lifetime?
Well, I'm no expert on that, but there are some things that I've read about and some things that we've actually done. To begin with, Lynn Twist was a fundraiser and wrote a beautiful book called Soul of Money. Makes the point that the most important thing you can leave your children is not the amount of what you give them, but that you've taught them a healthy relationship to what they have. And you've taught them about giving and how you should be giving, tithing, or even more than tithing, because that makes money much more healthy for you, and that message doesn't go unnoticed by your children. I've talked to clients and I've said, well, did your parents give money to charities? Oh, yes, they gave lots of money. I remember that. Well, what charities did they give them to? I don't know. They never mentioned it. Did they ever discuss it with you about what they were and why they were giving? No. So I don't know why they were doing it. Well, that's a shame. There's a learning that the children didn't get from them, at least directly they didn't get from them. So telling your children what you support, why you support it, and make it a safe subject to discuss. One of the things I encourage, particularly, again, grandparents, your children are adults, and they're going out, what are we going to get our parents? Your parents are now 60 years old or 70 years old, and what are we going to get them? And they've got everything already. Well, we've told our children, hey, don't do that. You save that money, and we're not going to give you things you probably don't want, and we will pool that money, and then over the holidays, at one of our dinners with hopefully the grandchildren there, we will discuss what we've supported and what we would do with the money that we're going to now give as a demonstration. And the first time we did it, it was a pretty moving experience. There were lots of tears, and people heard what other people thought, and it was just a general, very unlike the forced conversations sometimes you have around the holidays. So all of that is delivering the message of the importance of the community and our participation in it with our wealth.
And